Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Off Air with Casey and Kristen. It has been a while, but it is so good to be back in episode 6 of Off Air.
Yeah, sorry that we took a little bit of a hiatus, but we've had a busy few weeks.
Yeah, certainly was not planned. The last time we had an episode drop was the day before Helene made its way up here. Then obviously what it did to this region, unprecedented. So the week after that, you were out pretty much that entire week after out reporting in the field. The later part of that week, I was out doing some reporting as well. So the schedules, and we didn't think it was, especially that first week, it wasn't ready time to do a podcast.
Yeah, absolutely not. And gosh, it's just been, we're still covering things with the flood. So we're definitely thinking about all of those people that were affected. And if there's anything that we can do to help, we're with you.
Yeah, that was crazy. Just the amount of things, like I said, the last time we did one of these and now to today, how much this region has changed in that 4 to 5 weeks. It's been, I guess it was September the 26th, I believe. Again, it was the day before Helene came up here was the last time we had an episode air. And then, after that as well, the following week we had some scheduling. We were obviously stretched beyond thin with our resources to try and cover as much as we could. And I actually had to fill in on the morning show for the first time ever. I'd never done that before. I had 2 days of that.
It was the battle of the Getzes on the morning show.
Yeah, that's those setting of those alarms for 3 a.m. brutal. So
I'd say Kelly's a little bit more used to it than you are.
Yeah, she said, now you know what it's like in my world on a daily basis. But I am okay just filling in on that on the rarest of occasions because that was definitely not my cup of tea. But I guess if you get used to it, I guess you kind of would come into it there. So, so that week then we were both on opposite schedules. So we barely even saw each other that week. Then unfortunately, my grandfather passed away. He was 101. So I was in Pittsburgh for a few days for his funeral. And then when I got back, it was just still kind of catching up on some things. So sorry that we've been gone so long. Certainly wasn't planned, but there were much bigger things going on. But hopefully this little 20 minutes or so can be a nice escape for anybody out there.
Yeah, absolutely. We're happy to be back.
Yes. All right. So where do you want to start with first?
All right. Well, let's start with, I guess we've got some football games that you
receipts,
want to talk about.
Receipts, pulling out the receipts. I had to go back and actually look because I didn't remember the last time
keep the receipts.
I did. That's why it's the internet. You can find anything on the internet. The last time this is how long ago it was. The last college game Kristen picked was Georgia, Alabama. How long ago that was, and that didn't turn out.
That didn't turn out too good.
No.
I don't want to talk about that.
So you're 3-2 in college games. My last one was North Carolina. I won that one, so I'm 4-1. Got you by one. NFL, we both won our last NFL game. So you are 3-1 NFL. I am 4-0 in NFL. So college, you're up first.
No shocker here, by the way, that Casey, the former sports anchor, is beating me in
by one game each.
I mean, but you're
one
still
game.
Beating me, but it's okay.
Okay, all right, give me your college pick. I'm gonna write it down here, so I don't forget.
So I am taking the recommendation of Matt, our producer.
Okay.
And Matthew said that we should do LSU and Texas A&M. That's the game he's the most excited about. Okay. So I, in turn, am going to be the most excited about that game to watch. Right. I am going Texas A&M.
Okay.
Minus 2.5.
All right. So, this is obviously a big game in the SEC. I think these are the only two, undefeated teams in SEC play. No one in the SEC is undefeated overall. Everyone's lost at least one game, but I believe LSU and A&M are the only two that have yet to lose a conference game. So whoever wins this one, that would be a huge game.
Thank you, Matthew.
There's his selection. I'm going to the Big 12. I'm taking Oklahoma State +7. So they're an underdog at Baylor. Oklahoma State, last week, they almost beat BYU, who was undefeated, but they have lost 4 in a row. Baylor looked great last week over Texas Tech. So I think they come back a little bit. I'm going to go Oklahoma State and the mullet man, Mike Gundy, to end that 4-game losing streak. I don't have to win. They just can't lose by more than a touchdown. So I'm taking Oklahoma State on Saturday. Then on Sunday, NFL pick. What are you going with?
So also, Matthew, big Tampa Bay fan.
He is a Buccaneers fan, yeah.
And I, big Falcons fan.
I didn't know that.
So in honor of Matthew, I'm going to take the Falcons versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
All right.
And of course, I'm picking the Falcons.
Shocker.
Minus 2.5.
Falcons favored by 2.5.
Rise up.
All righty. So last week they didn't rise up. They got blown out by Seattle.
Did. But so did Tampa Bay.
So did Tampa Bay. That's right. Yeah, So someone's going to end that losing streak that they're on.
Someone will win.
All right, so Kristen's taking a couple of small favorites this week. I'm taking an even bigger underdog on Sunday than I am on Saturday. The Cleveland Browns at home against the Baltimore Ravens, who just beat Tampa Bay on Monday night. The Browns are getting 8.5 points. Speaking of the Bucs, their former quarterback Jameis Winston is starting. They announced first time this year for Cleveland after Sean Watson got hurt. So I think Jameis Winston will get the Browns close enough. They don't have to win. They just can't lose by more than 8. So I'll take the Browns plus 8.5 at home against the Ravens.
All right. We're going to see how it is.
All right. Those are our picks. I also want to go back and touch on, again, our schedules. We did touch on this one of our first podcasts. We kind of walked through what our schedules are like we both work night side. So we don't come into work until about 2:30 in the afternoon. Then we're here till a little after 11:30 in the evening. But when I did that morning show, you talk about a complete 180 from our current schedule. I mean, I was getting up, I just did it for 2 days, but it was plenty. Got up at 3 o'clock in the morning, a little bit after 3 o'clock, was in here at 4. And then, I mean, it's in the
non-stop.
evening. In the evening, I do 10 to 11:30 straight through, an hour and a half. And in the morning, they do 2.5 hours straight through. So, I mean, I'm kind of conditioned 90 minutes. Okay, I got 90 minutes. But then when I did that 90 minutes at 6 a.m., and you got a whole other hour to go. And I was by myself, because Preston and Tracy both were not here. So it was me and David Boyd. But yeah, I mean, I had tremendous respect for the 2.5 hours straight. Because again, in the evening, I do 2.5 hours for my entire day anchoring, but they do that consecutively first thing. So that was very eye-opening, and it is different. All the different, the people that work in different cruise ships, different routines and everything. So yeah, it was just, and then, I was done working at 11:30, 12 o'clock, because I was also doing some Friday Night Rivals stuff after the morning show. I didn't do the noon those days, but yes, that was very weird being home with my wife, who again normally comes home around 1:30. We both had the afternoons completely free. That was so bizarre for us, at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. She's like, why aren't you going to work? I was like, I've already done that too. So
she's like, I want the TV.
I know. Yeah. This is my time. You're usually not here. That's why things are so good for us,
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so yeah, it was pretty fun.
That shift, I feel like,
you've done that. I mean, you've done it a few times.
Yeah, I've done it multiple times. Yeah. Number one, I feel like I always feel weird, like just because your eating schedule is thrown off too, because normally you're in bed at that time. So then you're like, oh, should I eat? Like if you ask like Preston or Tracy or someone that does that shift normally, ask them when they eat, because it's so much different. Like they actually eat like breakfast at 5 or something like that. And then, so that's all thrown off. So I always felt like kind of like uneasy. But then I also remember one time I was like, okay, you get done with the morning and then you have to do noon, which you said you didn't do noon because of Friday Night Rivals. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, you had some interviews to do, but normally you do the noon show. And so that's like, you get a little bit of a break, but your break is at 7 in the morning. So I remember getting in my car and I was like, oh, I'm going to go to Starbucks and get a coffee. And at that time, the sun's coming up and it's beating down on you and you're like a newborn baby, it's like, oh man, I'm going to fall asleep right now because the sun and you're warm. And yeah, so just not used to it. It's weird.
Yeah.
We're night walkers here.
Yeah. When we drive into work, it's the sun shines out, beautiful. And then we go home. It's, real late at night. We're the only ones on the road usually. So yeah, it was kind of the opposite. Coming into work, it was I'm the only one on the road. I'm looking out for deer, making sure there's no deer coming around. And then driving home, it was middle of the afternoon,
Everyone's
everyone's, hey, how's it going?
It's so strange, but
yeah. So that was definitely unique. Working on that schedule for a couple of days, and hopefully I don't have to do it again for quite a while.
Something that I did want to bring up that I was excited to do when you went home, I got to watch Bristol, your pup.
Yes.
So
eternally grateful to the family for watching our dog Bristol for a few days, because my mom in Pittsburgh, she lives in a high-rise, condo area, and they don't allow pets in there. So it's only a 6-hour drive. We would normally take Bristol with us, but where my mom lives, you can't have pets. So when we go up there, we can't take Bristol with us.
Well, I absolutely enjoyed Bristol. She was so much fun to have. We went on multiple walks, and she even came back with some new football gear. I think she looks great in red and black.
You put that out on social media for people to see.
I think she looks great in her little Georgia bandana, and I think she enjoyed staying with us. She was a little bit probably more active than she's used to because I have a 5-year-old now.
5-year-old. Yeah.
She was 4. She just turned 5 this week, but so she kept her very busy the whole day, playing and running around. And so by the time it was bedtime for both of them, they were out.
Yeah, normally she doesn't have that constant stimulation when it's just with Kelly and I. But yes, I think she definitely enjoyed having an extra friend and made a new friend in Riley.
Yep, she read her books.
Yeah.
Enjoyed that. And she just had fun throwing her pumpkin around. And
we said, anytime you want to see, we'll bring her over, and I'm fine if you keep her for a while. That's fine with me. But Kelly didn't like that, so I'm like, go ahead and keep her for a little bit, give us a break. But
we might one day.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's going to be time to. I'm going to test a little bit of your Seinfeld knowledge. Now you might not know this, but Casey and I kind of grew up watching Seinfeld.
Yeah, not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. Yeah. But you definitely know more than me.
Okay.
So I want to know if you remember the holistic episode where
with Tor Ekman.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And then do you remember what happens after that scene?
When George turns into an eggplant.
Yes. Yeah. So he gets in the ambulance.
Yeah.
And do you remember what they're arguing about?
Candy.
What candy?
Oh my gosh.
Stumped him.
Yeah, my gosh.
Well, don't you worry, because I bet you've never tried that candy, have you?
When you tell me the name, what's the letter? Can I get a letter? What's the start with? A C.
All of you at home?
No, I'm drawing a blank. A Chuckles.
I found these at Southern Church.
Oh my gosh.
In downtown Bristol.
Oh my goodness.
So we are going to. Have you ever had a Chuckle?
No.
So,
but if you've seen that episode, I don't think we can probably put this in the podcast. We probably don't have the rights to put on a Seinfeld episode that was one of the early seasons too. Mm-hmm. When George, the ambulance. He says, "I'm an eggplant. I'm a mutant."
And remember, they're arguing.
The ambulance workers are arguing over
the Chuckles.
Yeah.
And
I did not remember the name of it.
And then either George or
Jerry's in the ambulance with George.
Yes.
And the 2 workers.
And one of them says, like, I think
I'm going to mess you up.
Right.
Yeah.
But at one point they're like, "What's a Chuckle?"
Yeah.
Like after they're out of the ambulance, they're like, "What's a Chuckle?" And he's like, "It's a jelly candy."
I'm going to ask you another Seinfeld. I know we don't have it, but what is the candy during the operation episode when?
I feel like more people have had those, but
Kramer
a Junior Mint.
Yeah, Junior Mint. Yeah. So they're very refreshing.
They're very refreshing. I feel like you've probably had a Junior Mint, haven't you?
Yeah.
I feel like that's
I've not had a
more
Chuckle.
Popular, but we saw this in Southern Churn. Did you know that they sell these?
No, I had no idea.
Which flavor would you like?
What are the options?
So your options are, I don't know the flavors. I just know the colors. Green, orange, purple.
I'm gonna go with green because that's my favorite color.
Oh, good. It's the first one too. See, we learned something new today. I didn't know your favorite color was green.
Yeah, it's green for the golf course.
I was gonna try not to touch him, but whatever. We're family here.
Well, I'll just take this green one here.
I'm gonna try the red one because that's my I usually like the red. That gum in.
So how did you know? Did you know when you saw Chuckles, you knew immediately that was a Seinfeld episode?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I did not remember the name of the candy. I can see why characters would get in a fight over who stole my Chuckle.
Okay.
I eat your Chuckle.
So number 1, is this better than the Oreo Coke?
Absolutely.
Would you eat this again? Oh no, don't you?
Yeah, but you gotta be careful chewing these.
I
would eat these again. Yeah.
You would eat it again?
Yep.
Pretty good. Honestly, to me, it tastes like, I've never had this either, by the way. I think it tastes like a orange slice.
An orange slice?
But like different flavors.
Okay. So Chuckles, you can get at Southern Churn in downtown Bristol.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Karen Hester.
Yeah. And thank you for reminiscing. That's one of my favorite shows. Seinfeld is, it's tremendous. And, the great thing is it's on all different channels at all times. I mean, you can see an episode, also on the streaming services too. But that was a show that, there's another Ryan works with us here. Ryan Renfro did the Johnny Wood documentary. And also the Pitts and Cole series with John Crossan. He's another one is a big Seinfeld fan. So we have, and he had I think a Seinfeld trivia. He has Seinfeld trivia. We were going over that a couple times.
So not gonna lie, Ryan was with me at Southern Church.
Okay.
And I had actually forgotten my snack for today.
Okay.
And he said, "Hey, we went to get ice cream."
All right.
He was like, "Hey, look, Chuckles." And I was like, "Perfect."
Okay.
So I bought them really quickly.
All right.
And they made it to the podcast.
Okay.
But glad I could bring some Chuckles for you. Now you can say when you watch that episode, you'll think of.
I may have to find that episode just to watch it. Yeah, to see that again there, because I did not remember what they were fighting over the candy. But yeah, that was very funny. I like that a lot. That was the best. I know it's only been 2 times you brought things on the podcast. That was by far better than any of those horrendous drinks you brought on last time.
Well, I'm sorry I didn't bring you a drink to wash it
down. No, I'm good.
I'm good. You'll have to stay tuned for the next episode to see what else I bring, because you just never know.
And as long as, again, it happens, but we've been doing these. They've been coming out every Thursday. We typically tape them on Tuesdays or Wednesdays leading up to that. Next Thursday is Halloween. Ooh. So that could,
maybe we'll bring what a Halloween you want to costume.
Bring in. I guess. I mean, that'd be a lot. I haven't put a costume on Halloween in a long time.
You need to get like a little something, something little.
All right, so we're going to do that. You want to do that next week? Then we'll do it in a Halloween costume for the podcast next week.
I'll find something to throw on.
Okay. All right. Even though, we'll both have to, it can't be too crazy because we're in the middle of our work day when we do this. We can't go like.
Just something a little.
All right. Okay.
I'm excited to see what you come up with.
Let's see. Anything else that we need to touch on in the last.
I don't know.
No, I guess.
I so.
I do want to mention shameless plug for Friday Night Rivals. First time ever. We're doing 2 games this week.
Ooh.
Never done that before. We lost a game the week, of the Storm, and we do 10 games a season. Well, we were only going to have 9. So we look, is there a way we could add a game to get to 10? And thankfully, got to give a shout out to Virginia High, their administration, also Lebanon High School. They agreed to move their game from Friday to Saturday. So we're going to have our regularly scheduled Rivals game Friday night, which is the Battle of Hawkins County, Cherokee at Volunteer, on Friday night at 7:30. And then on Saturday afternoon, we're going to do Lebanon at Virginia High at 1 o'clock. And that game's going to be on WCYB. So again, thank you to Mr. Harper, the staff, administration at Virginia High, and for the people at Lebanon for agreeing to move the game from Friday to Saturday, enable it to be on television, and then we can get to our 10 games for the season for Friday Night Rivals. So excited about that. 2 games, very quick turnaround. A lot of our crew lives in Knoxville for our production company, and they're going to stay up here in hotels that night because they have, they will be probably about 11:30 before they finish up at Volunteer Friday, and then they're going to have to be in Bristol by about 8:30 Saturday morning to start setting up, because it takes them a while. There's a ton of cables and equipment they have to set up. They have the hard part. And
you just show up.
Yeah,
and smile.
Yeah, I say words on television and talk about a football game. The real people that work are our fantastic crew, setting everything up, and then when the game's over, they have to tear it all down as well. So they're going to have a long couple of days, but we're excited about. Never done back-to-back games before.
Well, it's going to be a busy weekend for you, for
yes,
sure.
Yes, Friday and Saturday. Volunteer on Friday, and then Virginia High on Saturday.
I'm excited to watch both.
Thank you. Yeah, Friday's game's on the CW, and Saturday's game is on Channel 5. Of course, you also watch it on our YouTube page as well.
I will most likely be watching online because we are headed to Pigeon Forge to celebrate the little girl's birthday.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to spend a few days down there, and hopefully I'll come back with some good stories.
Oh, I have no doubt you will. Hopefully there's enough that you'll be able to tell on the podcast. I mean, some of the really good ones may not be suitable for air, but hopefully we can get the PG version of any stories you see. That'd be a great opportunity for people watching too. You never know what you can see down there.
Oh, yeah.
And stories, food, who knows what you come back with. So next week it'll be our Halloween episode.
Mm-hmm.
We'll hear about Kristen's adventures from her weekend away. And I'll kind of recap what it's like doing 2 football games in about 16 hours.
So we'll have a lot to talk about.
Yes, we will. So
also, don't forget to send us your questions.
Yes. Yeah. The first week, everyone did such a good job sending questions, and it's kind of fallen off. I do want to go shout out. One gentleman did email me earlier in the weekend. He said, I enjoy the show. Are you guys doing it anymore? I haven't done it in a while. So I kind of explained what we did earlier, why we haven't had any. So those of you who watch every week, we really do appreciate it. And yeah, if you have questions, please let us know. We'll answer anything, almost anything that we can. We'll answer. And then obviously pretty soon, we'll also be kind of gearing up. I guess it'd be next week will be our last one before the election. And maybe the one after that, we can kind of do what it's like on election night here at the TV station.
Yeah. That'd be a good one.
For a presidential election too. I mean, they're only every 4 years we get these. So, and this will be my first presidential election on the news side. In
welcome to the dark
side. 2020, I was still doing sports full time. So, I mean, I've been through elections on the news side, but not a presidential election. So that'll be my first presidential election on the news side. And that was the running joke. You always get food that night, on election nights, newsrooms always get food and it's always running around. And back when we did sports, sports people, we just said, oh, you mean like every Friday night during football season? That's what we equated election to. Like the newsroom treated election night. And like, well, we do this every Friday night, running around, and we don't get much food on. But anyway, that's old grievances that I'm airing from many, many years ago.
We'll see what you think, if it even is as much work as you think.
Well, that's
or if you were doing more on a Friday night during football season.
From the elections I've done so far, way more on Friday nights. Again, we'll see if the presidential one is different, so I'll reserve judgment for that. But yeah, that was the running joke among sports people. Like when the newsroom had pizzas on election night and everyone's there, we're like, this is just another Friday night in the fall when we do 15 weeks of high school football.
I will say it's a little bit harder for the reporters because you're out and covering some of the local elections as well. Yeah. So we'll have reporters.
I'm talking strictly in the building. Yeah.
In the building, it's a little bit calmer.
Yeah. Yes. So. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for watching. We're glad to be back again. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you next week for our Halloween edition of Off Air.
Bye.